I just redid my bookshelves like a couple of days ago, and I put it. Where the heck? Ugh. I think I'm gonna have to check all my tote bags individually. I have no idea where it could have gone, but I'll keep you updated. I found it. It was in the pile of currently reading books that I was planning on doing the video on, and yes, last place I looked, but now I got it. Hello everybody, my name is Vero, this is Vero Reads, and today is another currently reading pile update. So I don't know if you can tell, but I am a bit ill. I have a cough, and so my voice is quite scratchy and low, so now I know what it would be like if I ever went on tea, actually. But we push through this, and if I lose my voice in the meantime, you know, it is what it is. So it's been a while since my last currently reading update, and I'm not doing too bad, actually. I'll put an image here, I hope, of what my currently reading pile looked at the last update. I've made some progress. I've DNF'd Narciso and Boccadoro, and by DNF I just lent it to a friend in Italy, so I don't know when I'll see it again. But technically, you know, I might read it one day. It was just very slow, and there was a lot of like a young man frolicking and you know, having fun with women, and it was just like, okay, you like women, do you have anything else going on for you? And he didn't, so I was like, I read it another day. Then I finished William and Englishman. Great book, amazing book. It's actually like, I think about it quite frequently, especially because it's about war and the monstrosity of war and how it catches you by surprise if you're not aware that, you know, the world is not a perfect world. So, and it's really well written. I highly recommend it. And I read Sea Change as well, which it was okay. It was an okay read. It was a bit sad girl literature, which I don't think is my preferred genre, but it was okay. I read better sad girl literature, I feel like, but it wasn't a bad book. Now, plot twist. You would think, okay, so you only have these 6 books going on for you at the moment, and we can see some familiar faces like the Ruthless Lady's Guide to Wizardry, Very Model of a Man, the Mermaid of Black Conch, which have been here for a while, and then some new faces. We have the Haha, we have Lessico Famigliare by Natalia Ginzburg. The secret is that actually my currently reading pile is bigger. These are just my physical books that I have in my house and I can see in my pile of currently reading books. But I also have books that are from the library. For example, I have Braiding Sweetgrass, still haven't finished that. I have Jade City, still haven't finished that. And I have Black Victorians, I still haven't finished that. My plan is, since I'm ill and so I'm home and I literally have nothing else to do, I do want to finish some of these books. In particular, I'm in the mood for the Mermaid of Black Conch. I have 220 pages left. I think this is achievable. I would also love to finish Braiding Sweetgrass because it's an audiobook, and I was loving that book. It was just, you know, a very long audiobook for my personal standards. So, but I've had it for 2 years on my currently reading pile. So I did want to do that. And also Jade City. The issue with that is they're both from the library. So it depends, it really much depends if they're available or not. Then I could finish the Haha. This is my most recent, I just started reading it like, I want to say a month ago or something. But I do want to finish it and not have it stay on the currently reading pile. And I am enjoying it, and I think it would be good to read now that I'm stuck home looking at the wall, because it's about a young girl that has some mental issues going on that make her feel very ostracized in society and alienated, and he hallucinates wild animals due to this sense of social alienation, which I might start doing that. It's only 80 pages left I have to read, so I will probably finish this one as well. Knowing how I will finish this week, definitely not. I've only read like 3 chapters, so definitely not this one. This one. So the issue with this book is that it's really funny. It's also really adventurous, and I've realized after reading this book that I don't necessarily like plot-based books. But it's only 200 pages, and also the issue with this book is that it's written really, really tiny, so it says, yeah, it's 370 pages book. No, this is probably more close to 400 pages. So it feels like it's lying to me. It wants me to, underestimate it, and then it's gonna take me such a long time to read, which is what is happening. But, it's gay. It reads kind of like a D&D campaign. Might read this, and then this one I don't think I will finish it this week. I don't know when I'll finish this. Probably next time I go to Italy, because the only time I want to read Italian books is when I'm in Italy. So, but this was fun as well. So this is kind of like TBR for this week. I will start with The Mermaid of Black Conch, because I am in the mood for it. This is about 1970s Caribbean island called Black Conch, and there is a fisherman called David Baptiste that, when he goes out in his boat to fish, meets a mermaid, an ancient being that was cursed a long time ago to be a mermaid. And it's about their love story, but it's also about how we view indigenous people and black women in particular, and how we treat the other, and how we treat each other. So it has a lot of that. It's a good mythology. I am reading this whilst listening to the audiobook, because the audiobook is so good. Like the narrators are amazing. So yeah, I will start with this one, and I will update you on what I think about it when I finish it. I'm gonna drink some more hot tea. See you in a bit.
I was trying to understand everything. Heart mixed up. The man David make me feel mixed up.
Every afternoon around 3 o'clock, David dropped Akea to Miss Raines for lessons, cursed to be a mermaid by her own sisterhood, whose people had all but died out, slaughtered by the Castilian admiral and his kind. She sat quietly puzzled as she learned language again, from another woman she wasn't sure if she could trust.
Update, I finished The Mermaid of Black Conch. Sorry, I'm making myself a tea in the meantime. So be right back. So it was okay. It wasn't like mind-blowing, it wasn't revolutionary, but it was interesting. I think the magical realism element, the mythology of it was very interesting. The commentary it did on otherness, on how we treat women, and I mean that's the thing though. It felt like the thing it had the most to say on was, sometimes women hate other women so much that they destroy their lives, And, you know, that just happened. And it really felt just that. Sometimes it just happens that women gang up together because they're jealous of a younger woman and they ruin her life. And period. That's it. Nothing else to say about, and men hurt women as well. And, you know, it's fair. No, it's not fair. What the heck? It had a lot of great things to say about, you know, the legacy of colonialism and the legacy of slavery. It really did not go past, you know, sometimes women and men, they're different. And, you know, that causes some issues, which, considering how much of this was about, you know, how women are oppressed, you would think that there would be more to it, but there wasn't. So that's why I kind of left, because everything else was quite good. Apart from, there were some, there were some sentences that were so, they really put me out of the story. And it was always to do with genitals. It was like, he felt it in his balls. I was like, what? What? And like her nipples hardened when he came into the room. And I'm like, what? Is this a heterosexual thing? Because I'm like, I don't know. Like, at times it felt like a raunchy bodice ripper story, but it was like a sentence here and there, and everything else was incredibly poetic, incredibly grounded, incredibly, you know, also lyrical. So when those moments came, they didn't feel like, oh, this is, you know, a visceral thing. This is using somatic metaphors to... No, it really felt just like, why are you mentioning balls? So, overall, it was okay. I understand why it took me such a long time to read it, though. And I'm so surprised that it's November now. I'm so surprised that I finished it in November when it's such a summery vibe. Also, the ending was a bit flat. Like, it felt kind of like, and let's tie everything up together. But it didn't feel like it had any kind of impact on the rest of the story. Okay, I'm gonna go now because my tea is... but the water for the tea is almost ready. I'm gonna start the Ruthless Lady's Guides to Wizardry. I'm at page 160 of 370. And again, didn't know I was gonna pick this one up, but I want to read a romance for my TBR bingo, and also I feel like if I don't finish it like this week, I have no idea when I'm gonna finish it. And also, and then I'm gonna go, there's a lot of books that I wanted to read or finish before this one, but they're all from the library and they're not available yet. Okay, I'm gonna go, my tea is ready. I know the light is awful. I know the shot is awful. I'm sorry. I'm still ill. So I have started reading this. And long story short, I think it might be a DNF. As I was saying earlier, somewhere in the video, I do think that it's fun, and I think it's really full of action. Well, there's a lot of plot. Well, I'm really not making a case for this. There's a lot of world building. There's quirky characters. There's a sarcastic protagonist. There's a romance. There's, plotting and stuff like that. But the thing is that this part of the book was so slow. And we're basically almost halfway, right? We're like 40% in. And it was really slow. Even though technically, right, stuff has happened here. But it's 40% into the book, and there's nothing that really, like, I don't care about learning what's going on at all. Also, another thing is the prose is one of those, I know a lot of people that like this type of prose, but it's the type of prose where I'm like, you could have cut 10% of this book and it would have been the same exact book. Like, there's a lot of redundancy. For example, it was a nasty day for it, with rain seeping down from the low grey sky and trying to get its cold hands under your collar. Whenever they stopped for a moment, wind would stomp her feet and blow on her hands and give a hearty brrr, while Deli would put her head down and scowl and try not to think about it. And I'm like, why do you need 5 lines to say it's raining? And I get it that it's, for a lot of people, this is ambience. For a lot of people, this is something that enhances the world building. For me, it's like, you're just telling me that it's cold and rainy and they're having, like, not the loveliest time doing whatever they're doing. Why are you doing 5 lines? 5 lines. So I don't particularly like this type of thing. And then when I have this type of book, where it is a bit slow, but it's plot heavy, and the things that are intriguing are the plot and the character developments, I tend to go and read ahead. For example, I was on chapter 10. I started reading chapter 19, which is the penultimate chapter. At chapter 19, they were in the exact same position that I left them at chapter 10. So something in the meantime was happening, but it was so irrelevant that at chapter 19, the penultimate chapter, they were dealing in the exact, it was exactly the same characters, exactly the same story issues that I left them at chapter 10. So I don't want to read 9 chapters of something that makes 0 difference. This became a rant midway. I'm so sorry. I know a lot of people that would love this book immensely. I don't think it's my type of book. The way this is written and the way this is structured, I'm not feeling any of the emotions. This is not giving me much. So, all of this to say, I am officially DNFing this book. I'm sorry I'm shouting. I'm sorry I'm shouting, but I am ill and I just wanted to finish a book, and it really frustrates me when books do this type of thing where I'm like, you're giving me nothing, but you're giving me so many words and none of them are giving me anything. And I personally, I don't like that. But I want to say this is not an inherently bad book. I'm not the target audience for it. But I know so many people that would love this. So if you like action, queer romance, historical fiction with fantasy, and if you like a really cinematic way of writing and telling a story, this might be the book for you. This is not the book for me personally. I will not get rid of this because I think I know people who would love it. So, but that's my update. I need to understand that it's 50-50 with the stuff that I have on my currently reading pile. I always put stuff on my currently reading pile being like, oh, it's just because I'm not in the mood anymore, it's just because there's something going on, I'm too busy, blah blah blah. No, I think a lot of the times the reason why I put books on my currently reading pile is because I don't like them enough to keep going, but I don't dislike them enough to DNF them on the spot, and so I have to leave them in the wine cellar for like 6 months, pick them up again with a fresh brain and be like, this, I don't like this actually, which is what's happened with this. So yes, and I think it happens when the book is not bad, it's just not something that I like, you know, because if it's a bad book, I have no qualms DNFing it, but if it's a decent book, I just don't like it. I have a harder time being like, but this is a good book, why am I not reading it, you know? Anyway, rant over. What should I read now? I'm gonna read the Haha, hopefully finish that, and it will kind of like cleanse my brain because I got so angry for whatever reason. But technically, ding, that's another one of my pile. Listen, the light is doing whatever it's doing. I'm hoping for the best. So, final update, I think. I'm very ill. Still very ill. But I did finish the Haha. It's not enjoyable. It's definitely not an enjoyable read. It is a bit sad. Not sad in the sense of it's not incredibly emotional and heartbreaking. It is a quiet type of sadness, a very bitter type of sadness. It talks about, oh, and it just started raining, that's alright. Yeah, I know, sad book, sad weather. But the Haha by Jennifer Dawson talks about how mentally ill people were treated both in the sense of treated by society and treated for their medical disorders in the 1960s. There's a really interesting afterword in the book where by the author. Basically, she was a social worker at the time, and she was working with patients that were put in hospitals and were given shock therapy and were given, you know, all types of treatment that were really like to keep them like quiet more than to really help them go back to society. But then there's also a great conversation about what's the reason to go back to society. Society is fucked up. A lot of the people that were diagnosed with a mental illness were just people that were not able to conform to a society that was incredibly normative, incredibly stifling, incredibly constrictive. So it is such a good reflection and showcase of mental illness that is like in its more complex form. It's more you might have something, you might not. Either way, you're not doing okay. And it's really, sorry, I'm really ill, so my brain is not functioning, but it is a really great read, especially if you're the type of person that's like, we are a bit overdiagnosed. If you're tired of people using therapy speak to deal with interpersonal relationship, and if you're tired of people trying to fix their mental health instead of fixing the system that brought them the issues with mental health. This is a really good book for you. Okay, that's a good way of putting it. But yeah, I finished this. When I finished that, I was, well, not when I finished that, but I was at the library and I saw Black Victorians. I am in the mood for a non-fiction. This is very well written and very well researched and interesting. So I think that I will tackle this next. Not in this video though. Ideally, I will finish it and it will be crossed off before my next currently reading update. So as a recap, these were the books I was currently reading, plus a couple that we don't talk about because they were not available from the library. But these are the ones that were on my list for this round of updating my currently reading pile. And I have read these 4, which, you know, what am I saying? Oh, cheater. I've read these 3. I'm about to read this one, and I have these 3 left. Ideally, by the end of the month, I will only have these 3 on my currently reading pile. This was really fun. I liked having a moment a week where I focused on clearing out my currently reading pile. The really nice thing about having a currently reading pile is that when you're feeling really ill and poorly and you're at 50% mental capacity, you have books that you already know. You have books that you can just jump straight back in, and you don't have to worry about, let me figure out who's talking, where are they, when they are, blah blah blah. And it's really good. Like, I'm happy to have a currently reading pile. It's the first time in a while I felt really appreciative about having a currently reading pile. It has its perks. But yeah, I'm also glad that now I'm down to 5 books, because it was getting a bit too much. 5 books, I think it's good, because you have some in your back pocket, but you're not, you know, getting overwhelmed by them. Thank you so much for following me on this journey. And let me know if you have a currently reading pile. I know that some people don't. They just read one book, they finish it or DNF it. They read the other book, finish it or DNF it, and so on and so forth. Wow, wild, respect. I'm relatable to it. So yes, thank you so much for listening. I will see you next time. Have a nice day. Bye bye.